record right now. So I'm recording this. It will be available after. So if someone says something that you didn't quite catch, you can go back into the video and watch it later if you want to. Also, we will be sending the chat. So if people say good things in the chat, that will also be available after the meeting as well. So it's informal, but Michelle and I kind of wanted to have a loose guideline of the topics we wanted to cover. So we wanted to start with summer reading logging. And I guess that could include obviously that includes if you're using Beanstack, if you're using something else, some people are very creative with Google and using that for their logging. But then we want to do prizes and decoration, and then events. So in-house events that you created yourself, and also vendors that you would recommend. And just so if you're not paying attention to the chat, Darlene asked if you don't have your first name, last name, or your library as your name, and you didn't sign up for the summer reading thing, if you could just tell her who you are so she has you on our attendance sheet so she can send these things to you after. Okay, so let's just jump into it. We can start with logging. Who's doing online? Is anyone still doing analog? What are we doing for logging? Or any questions about logging?
We're sticking to Beanstack here just because our kids, our parents are used to it, and it does work fairly well. I can see the appeal of paper logs, but I don't think people will want to go back to it for here anyway.
We are continuing to use Read Squared that the state is sponsoring again. We actually had a pretty good, it's been working really well for us, and we've actually had increased participation with logging, especially from teens and tweens. So at this point, everyone's kind of used to it. And we're gonna stay with Read Squared for this year.
Maureen, had you been using Beanstack before, or?
No, we had always been doing paper. We tried Beanstack a couple of years ago, I think, when I don't know if Buckles provided it for us or something. There was a Beanstack sample. It did not go well. It was prior to the pandemic. Then we always did paper with stickers, and I'm really glad that we're away from it, because I think it's for us, at least, it was very unwieldy. We had papers everywhere, papers were lost, stickers were found, and it was crazy. So everybody kind of jumped on with Read Squared, and they've been using it. So.
Is it easy to use in comparison to, I forget the other one's name. Oh, Beanstack. I use Beanstack, but I don't know about Read Squared, but I'll probably end up using that this year. Do you know how it compares?
I don't really know how to compare it because, like I said, our experience at Hesburgh Heights with Beanstack was pretty limited. But I do know that some people really hate Read Squared. For me, I'm pretty comfortable with it, and I like that I've got it to work to do the things that I'd like it to do for us. So, if you ever need if you ever want to reach out, in chat, or if you need any answers about Read Squared, I'm happy to provide what's working for us.
Westwood Library is using Engage Patrons. I've used it for several years. It works really well for us, provides me the stats I need. Everyone, makes their little avatar and moves along. We don't attach any badge system to it. We just have weekly prizes that we attach to the program. All you have to do is read a book each week and log it, and then you get a little weekly prize. And so that's worked out well. This year we are bringing back paper for preschool because it encourages them to write. So we're going to offer that for the little ones up to kindergarten. And then, yeah, that's it. I tried Beanstack a few years ago. Same experience that Maureen had. Wasn't wasn't that great for us. Or was that Aaron that said that? Sorry, but not great for us. So we're with engaged patrons, which is free for most of you. I think they have some type of population requirement. Under a certain number, you get it for free. Over a certain number in your town, you have to pay something, but ours is free.
Yeah, in Hackensack, we're offering both. So we're doing Read Squared and we're also offering paper logs just to give people the option. It just works out better for our patrons. I used to do Bean Squared, but it's just like got really expensive. So we also use Read Squared because it's free. And I like Maureen said, like it does the job. It's fine. The app and the website, they look a little older, like a little like from like the 90s, but like I said, it's free and it does the job. So, you know, it's been working out.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I really like about Read Squared as far for us is that it's easy to like produce like statistic reports for like the school. So like if one of the elementary schools wants to know, hey, how many of our kids participated, it's so easy just to pull it up because you're asking for them. You know, it's like in the paper logs, I had to manually create all this like stuff in Excel and create these reports. And now it's kind of nice to have all the stats easily available and like customizable, like for what different people are looking for.
I want to propose adding in, how do you, to our agenda here, how do you all like promote your summer reading? Like, do you go into schools? What, like, how do you do that?
I usually visit the kindergartners, and I think I've been making videos the past couple of years. Things are like a little like fuzzy remembering last year versus pre-pandemic, but I usually make like a promo video that has everything in it with me hyping them up. And then I also have the third graders come in for a field trip where I do like a PowerPoint about the library, get them to know the library, and then I advertise the summer reading program. And it usually we have kids coming in saying, you told us about this at school, so you know, we're here basically. So
Yeah, Westwood, we do the same. I do hit the nursery schools also, and then school visits, and then the videos go out because we had to for pandemic. But then, so now I'm still including that. I send it to the school media special, the library media specialist, and then she includes it as part of her class time, and she'll run it just about a week before the kickoff, so it's fresh in their minds. And then I do a little social media countdown, video for Instagram.
So we used to do school visits, obviously pre-pandemic, and then I would do videos and share it with everyone. But Carrie, our teen librarian, hi Carrie, I see you. She had a really good idea last year to do a Zoom presentation for the parents. Because the parents are the ones that are bringing the kids to the library. And that worked out really well last year. I mean, this year, I'm hoping maybe we can visit the schools or do something with the Zoom, but last year doing something just for the parents, it worked out really well. Obviously, I went through each school and they promoted it and they sent the links to the parents, and it was pretty good.
I used to go to the middle school. They have like a morning news report every day that's about 15 minutes. So I used to go on and they would interview me about summer reading. But the past few years during the pandemic, I sent them a video. And also our school media specialists send home information when they send home their end of the year book lists and everything to the kids. They include our summer programs with it.
Hey everyone, I was wondering if I could get some tips. Last year at West Orange, we got so fed up with Read Squared that we decided this year we're gonna go analog, paper logs, which I've never done before actually. So if anybody's done that, do you have tips about what worked for the old school paper logging style?
I can, sorry, I'm going to take your name down. I can email you my template. I like it specifically because it doesn't use as many sheets of paper. as other logs I've used in the past. This is actually my first summer reading at this location, and apparently they've always used paper logs. That virtual or Beanstack and other things like that didn't go very well. So I'll email you what I use, and then you can do nothing with it, use it, whatever you want.
Thank you so much.
Jane, my advice is run. Run, Jane, run. I just didn't have good experience with paper. It's just too much to maintain and keep up with, and then they get lost or they get ripped or they get whatever. Just I'm offering them because there's just a handful of parents that wanted them by us that requested them last year. So I'm going to offer them, but I know the majority is going digital. But I would just say keep those Excel sheets in tandem with your, if you get behind on the Excel sheets, you're kind of behind the whole time, logging them every time they come in. You know, you really have to maintain it and keep up with it as soon as you get those lists in. Otherwise, all your stats are off. And that's why I say run, because for me, it was just too much.
I think it really depends on the town, right? So in Englewood, we had, unfortunately, when I started, really low participation rates overall. So they had low participation rates just logging, just joining the club and also logging. So we tried Read Squared, and we tried Read Squared plus paper. No one used Read Squared. They only use paper, but to make it so it's more accessible, we didn't even ask them to put titles and authors. We only had them logging minutes. So it was literally like a sheet of squares where they would just color in a square if it was 10 minutes. And we did it in conjunction with Read and Bead, which honestly really increased participation to higher than it's ever been. And I think because we made it easy to do and introducing something new, which was Read and Bead in conjunction with just logging minutes, we had really good success. And for keeping track, it was easy. We just kept a binder in-house where we'd mark down if the person came in, how much they read, and they'd come in only once a week. And then at the end, we'd collect their logs, and it wasn't an issue because it's a one sheet of paper.
For my teens, I definitely prefer paper. Some of them do like to log online, which I do let them do, but it works better for me. Last year I made like a game board style, and these points you can see are for events. Mostly they're for events that you plan and that they attend, because we really focus on events here, because I find the more they're coming into stuff, the more likely they are to read anyway, because they're like at the library, so they're just checking out books because they're here. And then on the back it just has them list like which books and if they liked it or not. So it's very simple, but part of the reason paper works for me is because at our library for the teens, we don't do like the weekly check-ins. They don't get like weekly prizes or anything. It's just the end of the summer, they're handing one piece of paper in for me. So that really is, I think, a big factor in what makes it work for us.
That looks beautiful.
I don't know if anyone still has, so, you know what, the question, does anyone still use Google as their like, what was it, were they using Google like?
Google Forms.
Yeah, Google Forms, thank you. I know some people have gotten like super creative with that for using. I mean, if you're going paper, you're going paper, but I know there are some free options that people were using like way before we had gotten Beanstack for the consortia. Yeah, Carrie and Libby, if you guys want to send me those templates, I can include them in the after follow-up email. Did anyone have any other questions about like logging or outreach, or like what the best way to go about those are? And we can always come back to it if someone has anything like they suddenly remember. All right, so prizes and decorations. I'm gonna call on Libby for this. No, Libby had sent me a really cool idea of what she was doing for decorations, but I'm sure everyone has like really great ideas. So decorations and prizes.
Oh, wait, are you literally calling on me? Do you want me to talk?
No, hold on. Rebecca Crisco said, I wanted to ask about the format of your summer reading. Do you log minutes, books, pages? I found last year that some of my kids read like 50 books, but they were small, and some read 5, but they were big. I felt bad for the kids who read longer books who got less prizes. So we only do minutes at Malwa, because if a child is reading at their level, 5 minutes is 5 minutes. If a child is reading 5 hours at their level, 5 hours at their level. Like, in my mind, there's no way to compare like a picture book to a chapter book. But if a kid is spending 5 minutes of their time reading that thing, then that's inaccurate, or as accurate as we can get. Yeah. Someone said we've been counting days to even the playing field and to promote reading as a daily habit. That's a good one too.
I do that too. I like make it any day that the kids read 20 minutes or more, I think. Maybe a little less for the younger kids counts as a reading day. And then for every 7 reading days that they log, they get a prize. And then last year I incorporated like if the kids met a collective goal of logging a certain amount of days, I would get slimed at the end of the year. So I got slimed. That definitely helped a lot as like a prize, oddly enough. The days work out well because I feel like it isn't fair if a kid's a slower reader. Like I can be a slower reader, so I can sympathize with that.
For the older kids,
sorry.
We did days, I work with Erin, we did days, and for the older kids, it was 30 minutes counted as one day. Because we found when we did minutes, we had kids logging like more minutes than there were in a day. So that's why we kind of capped it as you can only read, they can read as much as they want, but they can only log 30 minutes as a day, because they were just coming up with these ridiculous numbers that didn't make sense of how many minutes they were reading. So we just found it easier to go with days.
So when you count days, it's like, do they do it online? You do it based on like when they log their books, or is it honor system of like, oh, I read 7 days this week?
They log on Beanstack, but they don't have to log every day. Like they could go back and log the whole week, or so if they're on vacation, they don't want to log till they get home, that's fine. They just have to have it done by a certain date that we give them at the end of the summer.
There's like a calendar that they check it off. So like they could even check it off on like a paper calendar at home, and then just like Debbie said, like log it all at the end.
So I have like a quick question. I used to do, usually every year I do by books. Last year I tried minutes because I do think it's like the more fair way of like keeping track and whatever. I had such an issue with parents last year. Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to time them? Like, it was such a hassle last year. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, or like what you say to parents, but they're like, can we just put the number of books? It's just easier. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's experienced that before, or maybe you don't.
Yeah, when we first like solidified everything into minutes, because some departments were doing minutes, some departments were doing like books or whatever. Parents were like, well, how do I know? I was like, just give it your best guess. Like, yeah. I never take anything like if people are going to cheat, people are going to cheat. That's how I feel about it. Like, if they're going to lie, they're going to lie. Like, it's not my job to be like the book police. Like, if you're going to say you read for, 10 hours in a day, like, okay, whatever. Like, because most people are going to be honest about it. Just have them give it their best shot. If they're like really worried about it, there are actually like bookmarks where you can like press, like it's like a little tiny bookmark, and you can like press start when you start reading, and then like when you put the bookmark in the page, you can hit end. Those are kind of cool. You could give those away as prizes to people who are worried about it.
Those sound adorable. Oh my god. I kind of want one.
Yeah, sure. I don't know how expensive they are, but you know, it's like people get very worked up about stuff. And it's like, I'm not gonna like reprimand you and be like, you said 10 minutes, but it was actually 5. Like, oh my God, like, no, it's okay. It'll be okay.
Can I ask, I love the days idea, but when we're making ours, our director is like, well, just keep in mind the state aid, what I need to report to the state, which is one of the questions is number of books. Sharon Rollins has a equation if you're logging minutes, but for anyone that's logged days of reading, do you have any strategy for when it comes time to answer that state aid question?
Well, for me, I try to quantify it by like, you know, whatever amount I tell the kids counts as a day. So I use the minutes equation to figure, okay, like I'm guessing that the kid read 15 minutes this day if they logged this day. And there's just like no way for me to know if it was more than that. But yeah, I try to just use the minutes equation.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't know if that helped.
Yeah, definitely. That's helpful. Thank you so much.
I think I missed part of the question, but I did put, like, I have the pre-reader and the children conversions in the chat where it's like one book from the state. I don't honestly remember where I got it, but I know I copied and pasted it from whatever state thing I found it at. I know there's one for adult and I know there's one for teen. I don't know what it is because those are not my people, but there is a conversion for that too.
Most of you mentioned about the advantage of counting minutes or days or hours. But I'm gonna stick with the book numbers because anyway, summer reading is extrinsic motivation technique. And I think number is very instant and extrinsic motivation because kids will remember I read a certain number of books in my summer vacation, right? So I'm gonna stick with the number, but you know, the way that you adjust the chapter book and picture book thing, what I usually do is we do raffle. For 5 books they read, they get 1 raffle ticket. So the prize, so we have a very small group of summer reading participants. So everyone who submit at least 1 book, they get very small prize. And the rest of them, the first winner, second winner, third winner, we decide the winner as for the raffle. So the kids know that even though they read the most books during the whole summer in whole New Milford Library, that means they just raise the possibility to win the prize. It doesn't guarantee that they will win the first prize. So, and that's the way that we do. Last year, actually, I adjusted a little bit. So I gave 2 different kind of raffle by grade. So one raffle, both are toys, but like one is like a little upper elementary, like what was the drone drone toy, and the other one is a baby toy. So you know, they put their raffle ticket. Of course, a chapter book reader can, if they really want some ice cream coupon, they can put the raffle ticket there. But you know what I mean, right? So that's the way that I try to make the upper elementary kids compete for a certain raffle prize, so it could be fair. with other picture book readers. Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm doing as well, not as far as the logging goes, but as for the rewards, I'm having more raffle prizes this year than they have in the past and kind of dialing back. I think we're still going to have a weekly prize, but with more raffle categories. Like I have one that's really little kids, and then one that's kind of in the middle, and one that's definitely going to appeal to older kids so that they're more competing with their age group rather than anything else.
Yeah, people, if I had it my way, we wouldn't do prizes at all, honestly. Like we give away like stuff. I try to make sure the stuff is actually like experiential stuff. Like I got a whole bunch of those like dig it out kits, like, you know, you soak them in water or whatever, and you get those little tools and you can like dig out sea creatures or fossils or whatever it is. Or like, you know, like a coloring, like the little Crayola coloring books, things that they can like actually like use, and it's not just like this is a plastic toy. But yeah, I mean, again, if I had it my way, we wouldn't do prizes. I think raffle prizes are really great because like they're motivated by the chance of a prize, not the guarantee of a prize. But yeah, prizes are tough. Oh, ocean theme timers would be cute. So does anyone have any like cute decorations or things that they're gonna do like to, you know, promote the summer reading that way, I guess?
Last year, I did a bunch of my programs like outdoors in a nearby park where there's a baseball field that has like a big chain link fence. And we got permission to get this big banner printed and have that, we like zip tied that to the fence that had like schedule and like come visit the library. And we're not doing everything in the park this year. I'm assuming we're going to be able to mostly do things indoors, but I think I still want to hang that up over there, like to put something in the park, because it definitely did get some passersby. Like I would see people stopping and looking at it. So that's part of my decoration / catching attention plan for this year.
We did QR codes in the restaurant windows so that we passed them out to our main street, and then the vendors put them in the front window so that, and then we had a teen like do a short video pretending they were walking down the street. Hey, am I pliables? Oh, what's this? And then scan her phone and then show how it works. And so that was like a one little PSA video that she got volunteer, you know, credit for, and then promoted our summer reading. And then we had them posted in most of the vendors on the main street. So that we got a little bit of traffic, nothing, you know, outrageous, but it was just another way to get the message out.
Apologize for typing so much. I was just going to say, if anyone had questions about Read and Be, you can email me, and I know Tanafly has done it for many years. They can share their levels with you, how they do it. As for decorations, we just honestly started brainstorming. We bought this roll of cellophane and found that it like stuck to the window by itself. So we have this aqua cellophane that's going to be kind of creating like a waves on our windows and little cutouts that are sea creatures. I know a lot of people are doing coral, seaweed, they're using foam rollers. There's a lot of good ideas for crafts and for decorations on this Facebook group. I'm going to link it. It's CSLP's official summer library programming group. And each year they update for the theme and people share it, their ideas. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I've stolen a lot of ideas from them too already. So the same cellophane stuff and all those little cutouts, we're gonna have kids kind of sign their name on the little fish cutout, and then I'll paste it on the window cellophane. So our windows will be filled the bottom half with that. And then, but the room itself, I'm creating like a paper aquarium. So I got this fringe curtain that's like turquoise sparkly fringe, and I'm going to suspend it from the ceiling so to section off the children's rooms so that they kind of go into the aquarium in there. And then I have a standee, I think it's either a mermaid or something just before you get in for pictures. And then I got a felt board that we're going to hang in there so that they can create it's ocean themes, and actually we'll keep it long term so that we just change the felt pieces for other things throughout the year. So they have something tactile to do in the little children's room area. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Oh, and we're suspending, we have these things already. I'm going to show my camera. You see that cluster behind me? Those are all those like little paper lanterns there. So was for some other event they had in town a few years ago. Everybody liked them so much that we're keeping them up, but they're throughout the whole children's room. So I'm just going to punch a hole at the bottom rim of the lantern and would punch holes onto the bottom section and then hang streamers down so it looks like jellyfish, and just get some Google eyes to slap in the front so they look like other fish without so we're just going to use what we have and to create fish and jellyfish hanging from what's already there.
I sent what I'm going off of in the chat. Full disclosure, I go really hard on decorations. Like I don't, it's one of my favorite things to do, but I haven't started it yet, so I can't give any tips, but that's the direction I'm going, because last year when I came in, I noticed that they decorated for Tails and Tails like an ocean theme. And I thought, okay, so what am I going to do next year that's any different? So I decided to go with a coral reef thing.
I will say, Libby, beware of the spray foam. There was some thread on that Facebook group that was like, I used construction foam and it was so sticky and it was too much and it was permanent. So beware of the foam.
I'm not planning on doing that bit, because first of all, that and then spray paint, I'm like, that's gonna stink. I'm not doing that.
I'm not sure if anybody had gone to the NJLA, the CSLP meetings that they had. They also had the virtual one. There was a couple of cool craft ideas in there, and one that I would really like to try to incorporate is it was like a squid or an octopus, I can't remember. And then it was giant, and then there were construction chain links that the kids were building. So like when they would come in, they might add something to the link, or I was like, well, that would be fun for registrations. You could put your name on the link, and then they had this like the tentacle links go, all around with the squid, and it kind of looked really cool. An octopus, yeah, I don't remember what it was. Thanks, Tommy, if it was but it looked really cool. Like, and I'm like, that would be really fun. And as they came in, to come and collect prizes or something, they could, I don't know, add something to the link, and we could keep it going all summer long. And I thought that was kind of a fun idea. And there were also some fun thoughts with like pool noodles and like cutting them in half. And so you had just like the little donut size one. And then they made somebody had made like a little like sailboat or a fish. And I'm like, well, that could be kind of fun if you like wanted to race your sailboat, or it could float or something. So there were some ideas. I think that recording is like floating around somewhere in NJLA that if you
just linked it in the chat.
Oh, thank you. There were a couple of good ideas in there that might be helpful, but the little pool noodle one and the octopus chain link were kind of cool.
Oh, I didn't watch that YouTube video, but when you just said the floating boat thing, if you go to a dollar shop, you can buy a very cheap, like a scrub. It's, like $1 for 12, something like that. And you can use that one for a boat. And yeah, it's probably gonna cheaper than the pool noodle. And pool noodle you need to cut. but this
Oh,
one
you
is
mean
like,
a sponge?
yeah,
Like a sponge? Yeah.
One side is a scrub and like a little thick sponge is on top, so you can cut the sponge part to put the sail, but the scrub part, leave it, and it's gonna float on water. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
One of the things I'm going to do to incorporate the kids in the decorations is somewhere, I'm thinking at the end of May, I'm going to get a bunch of fish cutouts and each kid can decorate a fish. And then when I start decorating, all their fish are going to go like around the room so they can go, oh, look, that's the one I did. And just to get them involved, maybe around the front of my desk. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but just, you know, they'll get a blank cutout of a fish and some materials and they can decorate it, and then I'll put them up.
I feel like that's a pretty good natural segue into programming. Again, we can always revisit if someone has, you know, an idea that they want to talk about, but so programming. So what are you doing like yourself? What vendors are you using? Have at it.
I think a lot of us are probably thinking about, at least I'm thinking about, oceans in a bottle, sensory jars. I've never done it before and I've always wanted to do it. And there's so many different ones online that you can find. Majority of them use Boss water bottles, which are kind of expensive. We did do some research and we found them at BJ's for relatively expensive if anyone has a BJ's membership. But you don't need that many things. It's just food dye. I have a link. Food dye, you can do a little bit of shells, you can do small animals, and then some type of oil. She uses like a vegetable oil or something, but if you wanted it to be clear, you can just use baby oil, which is more money, but it should look really nice.
Michelle, can I just show real quick? I ran over and got my cutouts. They're like this. I got them in a pack from Amazon, these little paper cutouts so that the kids can write their names. And, you know, we'll stick them on top of the cellophane or around the room. These are some of the weekly prizes. I found these so cute. They had it's like a little crab. There's like a seal. So for little ones, this thing here, you kind of squeeze it and then you pull this out. I don't want to unlock it, but anyway, the kid can, the younger child can squeeze the bubbles out by just squeezing this portion. And that's the other one there. This is at a dollar store. And then this is the curtain, that shimmery curtain. It's in strips, turquoise color. The section off the room. Okay, just dawned on me, I had them in the back to show you guys.
Does anyone have programming for teens? I know there are a lot of teen YA librarians here. We haven't really talked too much about them.
I was just going to ask the same question. I have Wendy from Arty Time Parties coming to do a painting on canvas, and we'll probably do I've had her the past few summers, and we do a painting that fits with the theme, so we'll probably do an underwater scene this year. But she's really good. I've had her several times already over the past like 3 years. It's like a paint and sip for adults, but we have lemonade instead of alcohol.
Not ocean themed at all, but years and years ago, I did henna a couple times, just like a henna party. One time I had a henna artist come and do it. there were problems with her. So then the year after that, I looked up like where to actually buy henna from. And I had a couple teen volunteers and we did the henna ourselves. And the kids loved it.
We have someone oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's someone in our town who is a teacher we got to know who has a bunch of a side business with Cricut machines. Then she'll bring up a t-shirt press. So that's something we're gonna do over the summer. It's always tough when you have an event with limited registrations, but for her program, it makes sense that we have to limit it.
I have a lot of snow globes left over from December. So, and I bought at Dollar Tree some sea creature and fish and little gnome summer themed figurines. So I'm also gonna do summer snow globes, like underwater snow globes.
I do a lot of stuff for teens over the summer, but I ignore the theme completely. So there's no ocean anything in my events. But I've got, let's see, escape room, painted vases, wire sculptures, Uno, murder mystery. There's a kit I bought online with these cards. I'm a little nervous. I think it's going to be crazy. Smash Bros, book talks, Jackbox games. We're having a comic artist come and teach a workshop. We're having an author visit with Ruta Stepatis. We're going to play Among Us. There's some STEM games. So I've got a lot going on. If anyone ever needs any teen program advice, feel free to contact me. I'm Carrie at Hackensack, and I'm happy to help you.
I had done a few years ago a squid dissecting program, and the teens really liked that. But it's from the, if you want to know, the MJ State Aquarium, but it's so expensive, especially because of travel. It's like close to $600. So that was like, I really want to do it this year, but we couldn't do that.
Yeah, they come from like Camden, right? It's crazy. The Center for Aquatic Sciences. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to jump in with the aquarium thing. I contacted two, but we didn't end up booking them, but I think it could work for some people. But the Center for Aquatic Sciences, they quoted us at $550, so that's kind of high. Jenkinson's Aquarium was cheaper and has virtual options. They have a visiting penguin show, which a lot of people already talked about in emails, but we were quoted $450 for an in-person, but it has to be done inside. And then virtual was $150 from Jenkinson.
Yeah, we used the Penguin in January, and the kids loved it. It was packed. I had to have 2 sessions back to back. They don't let you touch the Penguin at all. So that was kind of a little disappointing, but it's just so nice to be that close to that animal. And the presenter was fantastic. She was engaging, she was animated. And we did 2 like 20-minute sessions back to back to include a larger group. So it worked out well. I highly recommend using them.
I tried to book the penguins and they said they're like fully booked for June, July, August. So I'm crushed. So just a heads up.
I'm having a program called Sea Creatures with Amazing Features from the Wetlands Institute. And the travel is going to be more than the cost of the actual program. But so it's coming out to about $550 for them to come from wherever they are to Ridgefield. But I also have the friends kind of chucking money at this year. So I'm kind of having a little fun with that. But they have a lot of programs that sound interesting. So if that's something that you can, like if you're looking for aquarium type of stuff, try them out. I just put the link in the chat for their website.
So we recently had a newer vendor. His name is like the New Jersey Snake Man. His name is Stephen Langen. He is good, and he does have some like semi-aquatic, aquatic like reptiles and amphibians and whatever. So I can send out his information. He was really easy to work with. He actually responded to emails, which is like 90% of the problem with a lot of vendors that I find. But yeah, he was good. And we got to hold and touch a lot of the snakes. There's a picture of me holding a giant boa on I love snakes. People are making faces, but I love snakes. They're awesome. Oh, and I did want to add, it's not necessarily ocean themed, but I have found that teens really love tie-dye. So you could get like a bunch of different blue tie-dye. We're having a tie-dye party in May. It's kind of for all ages. They're required to bring their own like thing to tie-dye because I'm not messing with like, I need this size, whatever. So they're bringing their own whatever they want to tie-dye. I suggested a shirt, but I guess they could bring whatever they wanted. You could probably do something like a beach towel. You might be able to find those like cheap, and you could be able to like tie-dye those, but that's an easy one for kind of all ages.
I have just a general question. Is anyone noticing, or I don't know, I feel like all the vendors kind of jacked up their prices this year. I feel like I was always paying 300 to 400. An expensive one would have been, you know, maybe 500. Everybody now is like at that top. And I even talked to someone who's like $700. Dinosaurs Rock, I think, was going to charge me almost $650 for their shark and whatever program. I'm like, what is going on? In fact, they're making up for the lost year of, you know, no in-person programmings, but it's like, you know, across the board, everybody's, I don't know if that's just the people I'm dealing with, or is everybody kind of going through the same?
No, they definitely did. I think some of it is like hazard pay. Because they are in rooms, many rooms full of many people. So, you know, if they happen to get sick, jacking up the prices maybe would help. But I know in the past, a lot of people had done like block booking. You might want to, like, if you're having like pricing issues, some vendors will give you a discount if you can find other libraries in the area that will also book same day, so that they're not like traveling all the way to you at a high cost and then only doing one show. That way they can get more. You might want to ask about that. I don't know how much it's going to offset the cost, but it might help.
Did anyone, or has anyone booked David Engel? He sent out an email to us earlier this year, and he had a pirate school thing. His rates were higher than we wanted, but he was offering to block book for $450. And so we said yes, but now he has kind of disappeared, and he sent us an invoice but didn't send us a W-9. So I was just wondering if anyone had experience with it, if he's just gonna no-show on us suddenly.
I don't think I've ever heard of him. Engel, like E-N-G-L-E?
E-N-G-E-L.
Okay, I'll look in my email. I'm curious now.
I don't know if anyone else has received emails from big balloon shows, Captain Twist, but I wanted something.
Oh my God. Yes, Libby, we've been having a back and forth with him. Go ahead.
Oh, is it a bad back and forth? Because he's been very responsive and no?
So we were just like, this is way out of our budget. And he keeps explaining the costs of why it's so high, but it's $600 for a balloon show and we cannot justify it. I don't know. He's
That's more than some of the animal shows. Like Unique Creatures is $275. Wow. There's like no reason to book balloons for $600. That's wild.
We just had, I don't know if anyone mentioned this, I just stepped away for a minute. Rick Stromoski, he does a virtual cartoon program, and he said he has one with the summer reading theme that he's doing. He charged $250, but he'll take as many kids. He'll take 100 kids. and our kids loved it. We didn't have a great turnout this time. We've had them previously and we had a much better turnout, but like libraries could split that because he'll take so many kids if they could find a date that works for everyone. But he was really, really good.
Abby, can you type the person's name on the chat?
Sure.
Thank you.
We have
give me 1 minute. I'll find his email. So just
yeah, we had Rick
second.
last year. He was so good with the kids, and they were so engaged, and he was so engaging with them. And then he offered to send everybody like their own customized comic, like if they emailed him. He was awesome. I really enjoyed having him come. Or on virtual, we had like 25 kids, which for us doing a virtual with 25 that's probably the most successful virtual thing I had last year.
Yeah, last year we had about 25 kids too. So if anyone is interested in maybe splitting a program with him, if you could let me know. And I'm gonna try to find his
I'm interested. Anybody wants to join with me? And not for the summer reading kickoff, something, in the middle of summer, I don't know. Yeah, me here, New Milford.
I'm just real quick, Denise, Bubble Show Plus, like in Mawa, it's a Mawa vendor. I've never heard, you would think they'd reach out to us. I've never heard of these people.
Yeah, he told me he lives in Mawa. Check out his website. It's Bubble Show Plus. It's legit. He is very quick to respond. I didn't have to negotiate anything. It was hit right where I was hoping to spend. So, yeah, and I reached out to several Bubble performers, but a lot of them wouldn't, perform outside because they said the wind conditions might this, that, and the other. So he said, oh, there's no problem. I know how to mix my solution so that it comes out fine. And then all of his videos and everything on his site were outside. I mean, I can't tell what the wind conditions were from the pictures, but they were outside. So, I'm just going to take a chance and go with it. He seemed to have enough there testimonials that I was happy with. So yeah, he said he's in Mawa. There you go.
News to me.
Yeah.
One time we had a bubble show, and they sent this girl, and she was like very clearly new, and she was so nervous, and it was so sad, and I had to just like watch her crash and burn. It was like, oh. Leanne, Kurt Gallagher, he's not a whole band, but he's one person. Kurt Gallagher is doing in-person concerts again. We had him in January, I think or maybe February, whatever. We switched from like in-person to virtual for a month, but he was willing to do in-person again, Kurt Gallagher. Someone in the chat asked if you're booking performers for outside, do you include a rain date? Do you have a tent? What do you do with that? And are most people doing, I'm assuming most of us are doing in person because the schools have gone completely maskless. So is anybody doing like only virtual? Or are you continuing virtual programming or anything like that?
So far, we are just planning outdoor unless we're forced to do indoor. We're just planning outdoor, and last year was great. Like we had all of our performers on our front lawn. We did buy a tent. Unfortunately, that tent was destroyed in a storm. So I'm not sure, not sure if we're gonna have a tent again. So, but we have an umbrella. We have just a regular umbrella. We have our speakers ready for that.
Unfortunately, we're in person, and we've been doing stuff indoor. I anticipate, and we don't really have an outdoor space. We have like a concrete front stoop that we could kind of use, but most of our stuff is going to be indoor. We're just going to have to reduce the number of people like we've been kind of doing. Yeah.
Yeah, we have reduced room capacity, like according to our policy. So I'm kind of panicking because we don't, even though we're like in a woodsy area, we don't have a great outdoor space. Like if I do anything outdoors, it's homegrown and like I just block off part of the parking lot. So I don't know, question marks.
I haven't explored this option, but I know some libraries like use parks in town. You know, we have a lot of parks in town, so maybe I'll like look into that. But I guess like it is an option if your town is willing to work with you, which our town really isn't. But
we at TNEC, we were in the summers, we were going in the parks anyway. So we're just gonna try to continue that. We do have some outdoor space and we're gonna try to use that. If need be, like if it rains or whatever, for some things we can move indoors, but we really do not have a programming space. Like our story time room is so tiny that it would be limited to like 6 to 8 kids or something. It's really small. So that's one aspect that we're trying to figure that out. Like, what if the weather is bad?
I use a park that's only a couple of blocks from the library. And it works out okay, except that like it's also used by the summer camp, and then I have to like coordinate with the town. Like it's a pain in the butt because they're impossible to get in touch with. But I was able to do crafts and story times out there, and I think I'm gonna at least do a couple things in the park. I'm definitely expecting to do some inside, but the outdoors was fun. Like when the weather was nice, it ended up being just a cool way of doing things, and I think people like I think people enjoyed having that as an option, at least some of the time. So we'll see. I still have to figure out exactly where I want to do everything.
Yeah, we don't have an outdoor space, just the parking lot. So we just sectioned off. You know, we lost maybe 5 or 6 parking spots, but it was worth it to set up the tables. We kept them there year round, just propped up some sunbrellas. My director's trying to get us a more permanent structure, but until that happens, I'm under some sunbrellas again. And anything, if it rains, last year I got sabotaged. So every week, because we had heat waves, and on that blacktop, it was awful. You're out there for 5 minutes and it was not a good experience. So I had to cancel a lot of things. And since we weren't having people inside, it was just canceled and that was it. Move on to the next. This year, we do have a small space inside here, which like Margot said, I could only have like maybe 10 kids in there at once. And then, you know, if you add parents, that's 20 for story time. So it just exceeds what we want to do now. But if it's an outdoor program and the rain and the weather's bad, it's just canceled. I don't have time to, you know, reschedule because there's other things coming up. So it's just done. Same for kickoff. If my kickoff, the weather is not well, you know, cooperates. He was really nice and said he'd reschedule that one. So we may just do that one. But for all of them in general, they're just done.
For the question about performers and rain dates, I'm sorry, I forgot who asked the question. If you can set up a rain date, you definitely need to check with the performers that they would be able to do that, and also verify what their cancellation policy is. They may have okay, if you cancel within this, you owe, you know, give us $100. Which, you know, fair enough. They could have booked something else in your time slot, and just see what they're, you know, they need 24 hours, they need 48 hours. What do they need? That's just how I do it.
We still are sending our COVID cancellation policy, which I don't know if that has any legal grounds, but basically says that we can cancel for any reason at any time and not reschedule. And most of our people have signed it. I don't know if they didn't read it, but they've signed it this year as well. So we're kind of okay in case it rains and we don't want to bring it inside.
I have another vendor that has nothing to do with Oceans of Possibility. Vanessa Keel, she wrote the book Boomer at Your Service, which is about a service dog who basically like flops out of service training. And she actually brings, so she'll like read her book, but she'll bring dogs from the Seeing Eye in Morristown, like puppies that are in training. I think we're doing that in May. I'm very excited. We had it planned before the pandemic, and she's coming back, and I'm excited. She's been to a bunch of libraries, but unfortunately with COVID, we kind of had to like stop because I don't think even Seeing Eye was doing much training either. I'll put her information in the chat.
Yes, please. I need puppies.
Not for Oceans or, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Not for like Ocean stuff. And I booked them for May, but I'm sure people have heard of Farm Chicks. I haven't had them before, but she actually let me pick a rain date since I'm doing it outside because I want goats and you have to do it outside if you get the goats. But they're pretty reasonable. She's super nice. Yeah, I've heard great things about her, so I can't wait.
Farm Chicks, they're awesome. I've had them once. I'm having them back this summer. They're like the nicest people to work with, super affordable. They're fantastic.
I got to cuddle the goats for Farm Chicks last year. They were like showing all the people the things, and I was like hugging the goats in the corner. So yeah, definitely highly recommend them if you're a goat person.
That's a pretty big downside. What for the field station? What day did they end up giving you? Sorry, in the chat, someone said like field station dinosaurs will give a free 45-minute story time. Oh, they haven't figured out their schedule yet. I was just curious.
Oh yeah, field station actually reached out to us. It's like a lottery. And I've been trying for years to get them. And then they were like, yeah, but they give you like a week. They're like, it'll be sometime in this week in June. And it's actually before our kickoff. So it's like a pre-kickoff, I suppose, because we don't have a choice.
It's just dinosaurs for the sake of dinosaurs, because why not?
One last possible question. We're continuing to do takeaway kits. Everyone's continuing to do that. I see a lot of head nodding. Just because, you know, there are a lot of families that liked it because they can't always commit to in-person stuff, but, you know, they can stop by and grab it whenever. Anyone has any good ideas for those? I would love to include them in the after the follow-up email.
Yeah, we've actually had trouble like stopping grab and goes. Like we need to take a break once in a while to refresh our ideas. And when we stop, people still continue to come in, even if it's advertised. They continue to come and say, where's the craft this week? And it's like, okay, but we took a break. And now I feel like, I don't know if we'll ever be able to stop. We are planning to continue through the summer. But yeah, I don't know when we can ever stop.
Yeah, I have that same problem. And I think I counted, like we started, April of 2020, and we've been doing like 60 kits a week and it's no break. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, they love them. It's a good problem to have, but it's like, they're so time consuming, you know, but they love them. I'm going to stop during the summer just because we're offering so many other things. And I was like hoping I could maybe get away with in the fall not doing the activity kits, but I don't know. We'll see.
I stopped grab and make take and make craft, but my preschool time I read books and then make the craft for the theme of the book. So when I do that, I have 15 kids registered, but I always make some extra when I prepare for the craft. And so the program is, if the program is third Friday, then I will put out the leftover no-show craft extra and a little extra that I made. I display, I put it in a bin with the book that I read, and I pull a little more books under the same theme. I display on one wall. So some of the parents, they are absent for their story time, or the one who cannot make it on that day, they didn't register because they didn't take, the schedule, that they have a little other schedule on that day. They usually on the following Monday or Tuesday, they stop by the library and grab that. So the little kids just walks into the room, and the boy, he always asks, what is today's project? And he grabbed the craft kit. Yeah.
I do that over here too. I call them storytime kits. And basically I just have a bunch of like very simple crafts that I used in storytime or just that I had. And I would just pick like a fiction picture book and a nonfiction picture book about, like, if it's about bears, I'll have like two bear books and the craft in it. And it's very simple. Like it's a coloring, or it's just like gluing two things together or something like that. They're very popular. And I like switch them out, like for summer or spring, whatever.
Rebecca, do you count that as a passive, how do I say it, like a set, or you just ignore it?
As a program? No, I guess I figure it as kind of like an item that they're checking out, because they have to check out the books, like
books. That's true.
Like normal. Okay. Everything's like normal, but
right.
Yeah,
I'm
it just comes with a craft.
I was wondering because we've been doing a lot and never count as a stat. So I was just wondering. Okay.
Wait, you don't count how many like crafts you make as a stat?
That's one thing. Yeah, I count the number of kids they join the program, but I know over a year, maybe almost 2 years.
Count how many you pass out. That's a huge part of your programming. Or those
right. That's what we do. If we put out 50 crafts, it counts as 50 crafts.
Okay, Rebecca, you heard that?
I only put out like 10 at the most. I don't put out a lot. And then they come back and I just refill it. And
I do only 10. I do.
But that's still 10 people that you help.
Yeah, but 10 every week. Think about it, Rebecca.
Yeah, you're taking the time to make it and put it out. It's definitely a stat.
Oh,
so definitely.
Right.
Thank you. Please stop counting us. I just wanted to. Someone had mentioned something in the chat. I just a word of caution: chick hatching, duck hatching, the rabbit hatching. Very cute, very fun. Please make sure you check where those animals go after, because a lot of places they don't go to happy homes. And it makes me sad, but if you're okay with that, that's fine. But just check where they put those chickens and ducks and things afterwards. Did anyone have any last questions, comments, concerns? I think we covered a lot. This is recorded, so it will be butterfly hatching. Those are good because butterflies, we need more butterflies.
Can we go back to the craft stats?
Yeah.
But what were you saying about that? Like, if I give out 20 crafts, but there's only 10 kids, am I counting 20 kids? What were you?
Yeah. So for me, if I've gone through the trouble of making the craft kit or making whatever kit it is, and 10 people show up in person, but I still give out the rest of the 10, I'm counting it as 20 because I went through the trouble of making it and someone came and got it. It's just like if you were doing a program in person and only 5 kids showed up, but then you like shooed 5 more kids into your program, you still have 10 kids.
That's great. Yeah, I haven't thought of it that way.
I mean, give yourself credit. Like you put in the work and you did end up helping that many people overall. So, I think it's something that should be counted. I guess you can talk to your supervisor if you think that they wouldn't be into that idea, but I can't imagine that they would be like, no, it only counts as 5.
Joey. Oh.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Dennis.
Oh, just quickly, I have a passive program going on right now. It's a little bunny trail. I just put duct tape on the floor, skipping, hopping, a hopscotch. Any kid I see doing that thing, I'm counting them as they come down the little bunny trail. That's a program for me. It's passive. They're gonna get a little prize at the end when they check out a book and go to the desk. But I have my little counter here, and I'm gonna count those all up. And then sometimes I count parents too. Generally, I used to do that more often, but really now just doing the kids. But I don't see anything wrong with that because the kids can't come by themselves, the little ones, obviously. So, and they are taking part in the program if it's a story time, so you can count them all, not just the babies. So yeah, count them up.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's like a downside, because with the in-person programmings, I would be capturing the statistics of the adults that had to that stayed in the room. Obviously, I'm not going to count them if they're not staying for the program, but if they're staying and interacting with the program in some way, I would count adults for programming as well. But with the take-home stuff, I'm only counting the number of bags that I've made. Potentially that whole family could be doing the cookie kit that I gave out, but I'm only counting it as one person. All right. I had a good time. Thank you all for coming. If you have anything else you wanted to add, I will send out the follow-up email probably on Monday. And on that chain, if anyone has any questions or things that you think we missed or anything you wanted to add, we can put it on that as one thread, so it's kind of in one place. Yeah, well, thank you all for coming. I hope you got something out of it, had a chance to talk, ask questions if you need it, and we'll see you at the next Youth Services event.
Oh yeah, Caitlin, for the Youth Services Committee members who are here, this should count as our meeting for the month. And then our next meeting should be May 6th.
Yeah. Yep. So Youth Services Committee, this was our meeting for this month. I'll add that in the email, I'm sure. Yeah, so we'll see everyone in May. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone.
Have a good weekend.
All right. Stop the recording.